When I say I'm being doxxed and parasocially manipulated and that my intellectual property is being stolen, I don't just mean a few little ideas here and there, like not just some vague themes and motifs. I'm talking entire plot lines, characterizations, and imagery lifted right out of my outlines and notes. We're living under an oppressive technocratic oligarchy, a sort of ethnocentric neo-Marxist totalitarianism that redistributes the wealth and resources of creative individuals' minds throughout the erroneous hierarchy of intersecting marginalization, whereby privileged individuals leverage the suffrage of their group identity to justify plagiarism in order to maintain positions of authority in creative companies that they're radically underqualified for. From what I can gather, I'm basically in social media prison. It's like they covertly instituted the social credit score throughout these platforms and have weaponized them against people, myself in particular. I imagine it's like ELO hell for video games, but in real life. They don't tell you what the rules are, and they seriously benefit from people's ignorance to perpetuate this sort of techno peasantry. I've been working on an entire franchise for well over a decade. Rough draft outlines, tons of notes, concept art, character designs and illustrations based on key imagery from the narrative, conversations out loud with friends and clients, text message threads, and even monologues in isolation near devices that are very clearly listening more often than the companies that sell them to us would like us to believe. In this way, they can isolate an outlier, home in on their life experiences and ideas, perspective, redistribute this aggregated data accordingly, and then sell it back to us as content. Big budget movies and video games, comic books and novels, lyrical and aesthetic themes from songs and music videos, even small scale YouTube content containing Easter eggs and what I like to refer to as meta narratively synchronicitous parallels are being direct marketed to me on a regular basis. I'm not even sure how to process this stuff anymore. On the one hand, it's almost flattering. On the other hand, it's so unnerving to know just how thoroughly our privacy is being invaded by megalithic corporations that sell our data over and over and over again across endless services and platforms. They're so desperate for new information and ideas that they'll steal it from you, sell it back to you, and then guilt trip you for being upset about it by pushing memes into your feed suggesting that you're just a hoarder and that you weren't using any of them anyways. At this point, there are content creators not so subtly hinting to me that it's something to the tune of hundreds of millions, if not tens of billions of dollars worth of intellectual property just from me alone. A lot of the times it feels innocuous, right? Direct marketing and things of that sort. You find an item that's exactly what you were looking for, or discover a new band with just the right flavor. For most people, this sort of thing isn't all that serious, but for me, it's been intensely traumatic and frustrating. Seeing my life's work parsed up and handed out like some kind of corpse before I can even finish it is depressing to say the least. And the more I speak out about it to friends and family, the more aggressively they harass me and even try to manipulate me into suicidal ideation. These people are seriously gremlins. In addition to this, it's been made apparent to me that I'm being recorded while I watch these people's content, and that these recordings are being posted on social media accounts I've never seen, or that I'm even possibly being broadcast live in real time. There are more than a few instances in which complete strangers in foreign countries have had to smuggle information to me asserting that it's all true and that it's for the sake of some kind of dystopian game we're all being forced to participate in. I have some examples of the sort of parasocial back and forth I've experienced from different content creators over the years, but I'm going to focus on one channel in particular for this video for the sake of narrative consistency. This clip is from a live stream on Twitch. This happened in real time, and as it's from the winter of 2019 or 20, it has been since deleted from her account. This first clip is simultaneously proof that I'm being monitored. Anytime I join any live stream, they immediately seem to know that I'm present. It's also proof that a lot of the content or a lot of the comments from other users are generated by bots based on the viewer and their aggregated API data. I had earlier this week been streaming myself and noticed that if I turned Streamlabs into light mode, that it would illuminate my face more, improving my overall lighting setup. This is particularly relevant because as soon as I joined her stream, she immediately noticed I was there and then changed the subject.
There was a question here that... Oh, Twitch light mode, Mega Driving. I use that to light my face. Because, as ties into the sponsor of the stream, My lighting is really bad, so I use the white for any things that I have on my display to help light my face. Thank you for level 2 hype train.
So only a few days later, I get an advertisement direct marketed to me about the Razer Kio Pro that has autofocus and auto low light adjustment, which was the exact solution that I needed for my streaming setup at the time. I went to work, and later that day, I get home. As soon as I get home, I get a notification that she's streaming. So I popped in.
But yeah, this stream is sponsored by Razer. They have this beautiful new webcam that has a ring light built into it. It's also just really good quality. A high-performance adaptive light sensor for superior imaging in any lighting condition. If you use the Razer, hang on, Razer, and there you go. You can get one, and there's a giveaway. I'm doing a giveaway, so jump on that too if you like.
Now, this obviously isn't malicious on her end at all. It's just the most specific example that I have of this sort of thing happening, and it would happen all the time. Anytime I would go into any other streamers' live streams, this exact kind of situation would happen. They would immediately start talking about really intensely personal situations that were very, very similar to mine, or they would mention something that I had just been looking at or searching for. It would even happen to the degree where it almost felt like we were having like back and forth. Like I would say something and they would like damn near respond. And so eventually I started trying to like say really absurd shit to get them to react. So in this next clip, I immediately called her out on it. I, in her chat, said, as you'll see, just started using day mode on Streamlabs to light my face better a few days ago. Was looking at grabbing that exact camera earlier today too. Weird coincidence. She then immediately hides her chat scroll next to her face as soon as my comment pops up, and then you can watch it over here as my comment goes up the chat scroll in the web browser just high enough that it would be out of view, and then she pulls it back up.
It's like, I saw the fixture posted today, but I didn't pay enough attention to who it was. I should go back and take a look at that. I'm gonna check video game again. Come on, video game. Still nothing. It's very strange to have it say it's all been downloaded, but I can't play it. I don't know what the problem is. Oh, we're at $8,888. That's cool. Thank you guys for that. I can bring my display back. Not that I need to hide it anyway. Like, let me just...
So again, like I said, that isn't in any way malicious on her part, and I'm not trying to call her out or drag her or get her in trouble for that. I think it was just on her end a slip up. What I assume is all of these content creators are under NDA, especially if they're affiliated, and they're not allowed to directly communicate with me. But every once in a while, one of them will do that. They'll slip up, they'll say something that's just a little too specific, or they'll send me basically a coded message like smuggled in their content to hint that, yo, dude, this is definitely happening. And it's like a regular thing. So the next couple of clips are going to have references to the various different movies and games that are using. The next clip's a little bit obscure, and it's probably going to be a little bit harder for me to talk about because it's intensely personal. But I was recently working on this design for the character of my story's weapon and gear. You can see some of the details here. In the story, there is like a color coordinated magic system that uses light and sound to determine the different things that the character is going to do as he's doing them. He basically, this device allows him to manipulate subatomic variables and distort gravity and time, and he's able to typically uses it for art. He makes sculptures and holographic paintings and music, but it is also a weapon if he needs it to be. And for instance, here's like some occult alchemical symbolism. Inside of here is a lattice of quantum entangled macro like hard light photons that power the device, and is that it's I'm not going to get too into it, but basically there's just like some real weird synchronicitous sort of information here for this next clip. So you can see that she intentionally highlights this section of the game menu that has a similar set of imagery, the intersecting squares and the hexagonal points with the singularity at the center, and goes on to explain how a lot of the magic system is color coordinated and based on alchemy and the 5 elements or the 4 elements. But it's this next clip that really gets to me.
Don't worry, Mom. I'm in the hospital now. I think I'll be okay. Oh, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. Oh, life comes at you fast. Okay.
That is the exact quote that I sent my mom verbatim the night in 2017 in September when I overdosed and tried to kill myself and woke up and drove myself to the hospital the next morning. And I'm fucking glad that it's amusing, you know? Like, I don't even know. Here is more concept art from my story. This is called Transcending the Amber. It is a giant world-conquering fungal organism that produces a non-Newtonian fluid amber substance that acts as a photosensitive organ that vibrates violently with cymatics when interacted with sound, and is basically responsible for the organism being sentient. So then at one point I sent her a private message on Ko-Fi that reads, "No one is ever going to tell me quite what is going on, huh? It doesn't just feel like parasocial marketing, as it's extended into real life interactions while out to eat or at the bar, Easter eggs in real life and all that." After I sent her that message, the very next video that she posted was of gameplay footage from a video game called The Gunk that takes place on an alien planet full of alien fungi that are infected with a sort of dark red, black amber substance that's possibly sentient. It's like, that's not a coincidence, right? Like, that's such a fucking specific idea that I don't think anybody else would just arise to that conclusion independently of me or my data. For that, she points out this stuff, the more of it I see in other things as well. And it's not just her. There are, at this point, dozens of content creators that are like alluding to these things, that are sending me like subtextual communication to hint at it. I mean, I can't even go to the Apple store without the Apple employees subtweeting me in real life. Like, it's so pervasive at this point that, as far as I can tell, for the past decade, there isn't a popular, successful sci-fi, fantasy, video game, comic, or movie that has been produced that doesn't have something in it that came from my notes or ideas. So I'm going to have to do a few follow-up videos to elaborate on this more. The further down this rabbit hole I go, the deeper it gets. So I don't want to overwhelm myself or anyone watching with too much information all at once. Suffice it to say, I'm fairly certain that I'm being recorded at the shop where I work, and that even the house I was renting had been bugged in order to monitor me. This all ultimately culminating in my computers and devices being infiltrated in order to record or broadcast me while I played games and watched content online. It's like some insane social experiment that apparently they've made a lot of money off of, effectively using me and even risking my life and well-being to do so. There's also a bit of a paper trail when it comes to that money that I will elaborate on further as well. Yeah. So I guess stay tuned.